Olivia Thompson was 22, young, ambitious, composed on the outside, but inside she carried years of quiet chaos. Her life had never truly belonged to her. After the sudden death of her parents in a car crash, her grandfather, Arthur Thompson, a man then in his 60s, stepped in as guardian. To the world, Arthur was dignified, gracious, an aging gentleman with a silver mane and sharp blue eyes, known for his charm and stoicism. In the lakeside town they called home, he was praised for his devotion, raising his granddaughter alone in a grand estate nestled behind rows of sunflowers. But inside that estate, the truth was harder to praise. Olivia's childhood, though marked by love and care, was also shadowed by something more difficult to define. Arthur had given her everything: stability, affection, guidance. He was her hero, her world. But as she grew, the intimacy of their bond deepened into something that no one spoke of and no one dared question. The lines between love and control began to blur, and neither of them stopped it. What began as innocent touches and shared confidences evolved into late-night whispers by the fire, two long glances, moments behind closed doors that twisted affection into something else entirely. Olivia told herself it was love. Maybe it was, or maybe it was grief, misplaced and unhealed. Arthur, clinging to the light of her youth, became possessive, no longer just her guardian, but something else, something darker. The home that once felt safe slowly transformed. The sunflower fields wilted. Olivia stopped seeing her friends. Arthur's control tightened, his charm shifting into a colder, quieter kind of dominance. Behind their silence was a storm, unspoken but growing. The weight of their secret began to crush them both. It couldn't last. One night, Olivia decided to end it. She was breaking. She had to escape, even if it meant shattering the only connection she had left. In the study, under the low hum of the old chandelier, she told Arthur it was over, that they had crossed a line and she was leaving. But Arthur couldn't let go. His voice cracked, his face pale, his words trembling with panic. He pleaded. She refused. The argument escalated. Shouts, shattering glass, years of silence exploding into rage and desperation. By morning, the town would wake to tragedy. Arthur was found slumped at his desk, a letter opener buried in his chest, blood pooling across ancient wood. A single teardrop had soaked the edge of a crumpled letter he never finished writing. It was Olivia who found him. It was Olivia who called the police. But it was Olivia whose fingerprints were found on the weapon, and neighbors who saw her running from the house before dawn. And it was Arthur's unfinished letter, cut off mid-sentence, that raised even more questions. Detective Laura Mitchell took the case. Known for her calm resolve and sharp intuition, she began piecing together the threads of a relationship that had never been what it seemed. Arthur's death wasn't just a violent act. It was the endpoint of a long descent into emotional chaos and obsession. As the investigation unfolded, the truth emerged in fragments. Memories, patterns, things unsaid, and things deliberately hidden. What they uncovered was a story not of malice, but of confusion, shame, control, and the long, silent unraveling of two lives bound too closely together. What happened that night in the study was the inevitable collapse of a twisted bond, one born in love and ended in blood. Before we dive any deeper, I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching and supporting our videos. I've noticed that many of you are enjoying the content but haven't subscribed yet. If you like what we do, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. It helps us more than you think. Thank you so much, and now let's get back to the story. Under the weight of mounting evidence and relentless interrogation, Olivia began to unravel. Fear gnawed at the edges of her composure, and guilt hung over her like a shadow. When the silence became too heavy to bear, she confessed. Yes, she had been there when Arthur died, but she denied it was murder. Her words came out fractured, her story clouded by emotion. She called it a tragic accident, a moment of panic, a desperate act of self-defense. But the crime scene told a different story. Flashbacks to that night revealed a volatile encounter years in the making. Suppressed emotions finally erupted, and their confrontation spiraled beyond control. What had once been a twisted bond of affection turned into chaos, and in that chaos, Arthur died. But was it truly self-defense, or had Olivia crossed a line she could never come back from? The trial became a crucible. Each witness, each piece of evidence tore open the carefully hidden layers of their relationship. The courtroom wasn't just a place of justice. It was where the truth had to stand naked, judged by the eyes of a society that could never understand the intimacy or the horror of what had happened behind closed doors. When the verdict came, it hit like a blow to the chest. 8 years in prison. 8 years to reflect, to reckon, to confront the wreckage of a life shaped by love and destroyed by it. The estate stood abandoned now, its sunflowers long since wilted. Once a haven, it was now nothing more than a mausoleum of silence. Olivia, no longer surrounded by opulence, faced the cold isolation of a prison cell. The walls pressed in on her, and every passing day became a confrontation with the past. She spent hours poring over Arthur's old journals, pages soaked with regret, confusion, and a desperation to hold on to something he could never truly define. He had been her protector, her captor, her downfall. In those pages, Olivia found a grim understanding. Arthur's love hadn't been pure. It had been possessive, entangled with grief and longing and denial. The journals didn't offer redemption, only confirmation of how deeply broken things had become. And yet, through all the sorrow, they gave her context, not forgiveness, but clarity. Prison became a crucible of another kind. Days passed in silence, in self-confrontation. Olivia had few visitors, but among them was Emily Carter, her oldest friend. Emily's presence, though infrequent, grounded Olivia. Their conversations, quiet and often strained, reminded her of a world outside, a world she wasn't sure she belonged to anymore. But Emily never gave up on her. And sometimes, in the darkest hours of the night, that flicker of connection was enough to hold Olivia together. As the years slipped by, Olivia began to see her past with new eyes. She faced the bitter truth that the love she once clung to had been deeply flawed, tainted by grief, blurred by boundaries that should never have been crossed. What she once thought was devotion, she now saw as control. What she called love had turned into the source of her undoing. Back in the lakeside community, Arthur's death was a wound that never fully closed. Neighbors whispered, unsure of how to make sense of it all. Some pitied Olivia, others condemned her. And the estate, once a symbol of elegance and pride, now stood as a cold reminder of the kind of tragedy that doesn't just break hearts, but corrodes them from the inside out. Detective Laura Mitchell, who had led the investigation, couldn't walk away untouched. The case haunted her, its layers, its moral ambiguity. It was a reminder that the line between love and control can be razor thin, and the consequences of silence can echo for years. Judge Eleanor Harris, too, carried the weight of her decision. The sentence wasn't just a legal judgment, it was a reckoning, a realization that justice doesn't always come clean, that sometimes it leaves behind questions that never get answered. When Olivia finally visited Arthur's grave, years older, scarred by time and truth, she placed a single sunflower at his tombstone. The flower, once vibrant and full of meaning, had become a symbol of what was lost, of what should never have happened. It wasn't forgiveness, it wasn't closure. It was a final gesture for a past that could never be rewritten. Some stories don't have heroes. They don't have villains. Only people lost in the shadows of their own flawed humanity. Olivia and Arthur's story is one of those. And it's a chilling reminder. When love becomes possession, when boundaries are broken and silence reigns, nothing survives intact. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more disturbing true crime stories. Leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below.